On today's episode of Garage Noise, I'm going to teach you how to cut and weld new metal and repair this rust hole. Don't worry, it's not that difficult, and I think you'll be amazed by the results. If you want to build your skill and increase your knowledge, start now by subscribing. So the first step in repairing this rust hole is we want to grind all the rust off of the panel. There is going to be some rust on the backside, and we're going to address that later on in the video, and I'll show you how to do that. But we're going to start with using this angle grinder with a 36 grit roll-lock disc on it, and we're just going to grind away all the loose rust and prepare for our patch panel. Okay, now we've ground this out. I'm going to knock it down with a hammer. I've got most of the loose rust off, but we're going to cut this out. So I noticed that it's protruding here a little bit. It's not level. I'm going to level it out. See that rust in there? This is going to get cut out. Okay. Now let's cut it out. I'm going to cut just a square piece to fit right over there. And I'll show you how we cut a hole for this. It's easy. This is an easy way to cut this hole out so you know it's a perfect fit. Take this here, line it up where you want to put it. Now you know you're going to get a perfect fit when we cut this out. So now you can see we have this rust cut out, the patch piece cut out, and you can see there's still a lot of rust in here. We need to grind that out, remove that, and then treat that with some kind of rust inhibitor. You can use something like this. This is Ospho rust inhibitor, and it's really good at eliminating that rust and keeping it from coming back. For my purposes, I used a primer to spray in there. I sprayed it on the inside. This vehicle is just a work vehicle, and I'm not that concerned about that, so we just treated it with some primer, and we're going to weld the patch panel in. Now you may have a smaller rust hole on your vehicle, and you might not need to cut and weld it. You don't have to. If you have a small pinholes or even like a quarter size hole, and you don't want to go through the process of cutting and welding a piece in, you can always put fiberglass filler over top of it, grind it, and remove the rust like we talked about, and then use a fiberglass filler to fill the hole. And if you can get something on the backside to hold it in, that's even better, or put some fiberglass filler on the backside as well. So as you can see, the patch panel fit very nicely. I'm going ahead and I'm tack welding it in right now. I did have to grind the edge just a little bit to make it fit right, but when you're welding, you don't want to weld in a continuous line because that will warp the panel, and that'll create havoc when you're trying to fill it with body filler and get it straight. So what I'm doing is I'm jumping around to different areas and tacking it just for a second and then moving on. It doesn't leave the prettiest weld, but for what we're doing, it's going to be perfect. Okay, so now we have it all welded in. It's not the prettiest welds, but we're going to be grinding those down anyway, so we can put a thin coat of body filler over this. Okay, so now that I've got the welds all ground down really well, I'm going to take my hammer and I'm going to knock down the edge of that so it's a little bit concave, so when we lay the body filler in there, there's not going to be any high spots that are going to cause problems when we're blocking the body filler. So now I have some Rage Ultra body filler. I'm going to put a little bit of hardener in it there, and the secret to mixing this body filler is you just want to make sure it's mixed in really well so it all becomes one color, and you'll know when it's very close to doing that. And you got to be careful, because if it's a hot day, this stuff will harden up very quickly. So follow the instructions on the body filler and you should be fine. So now I'm going to lay it in here with my Bondo spreader and just get it as smooth as I can and fill all those crevices and cracks. And you could use fiberglass filler on this. If it was your own vehicle, you might want to do that, but this will be fine for this application. Now I'm going to take my orbital sander with some 80 grit paper and sand this smooth and flat, and I may have to lay another coat of body filler in. And you could easily block this by hand if you had a block and some 80 grit or some 180 or some 36 grit. You want to start off with a coarser grit and then work your way down and finish with a 320 before you prime. So I did have to add some extra body filler to straighten this. So what I did is I added it and then I block sanded it straight. And if you have any questions about block sanding body filler, click on the link at the end of this video and it'll show you exactly what you need to know about blocking body filler. So I'm priming it now with some 2K automotive primer. This is a primer that has a catalyst in it that hardens over the body filler so scratches don't show through. And just like that, the hole and rust is gone. And this is going to be a quality repair that's going to last you a long time. So listen up. If you want to build your skill and increase your knowledge, start now by subscribing to the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you watching, and we'll see you next time.